How's it going, ladies and gents? It's Jeff with I Download Blog. This is Let's Talk Jailbreak, episode number 16. And I have my co-host Sebastien Page on the line. How you doing, Sebastien?
I'm doing fine, Jeff. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Playing and ready to talk about some tweaks and some other stuff.
Yeah, this is our sweet 16 today.
Yes, indeed it is. How was your week?
The week has been starting pretty good. We're getting ready to travel. We're gonna be going to Chicago for a couple of weeks, and then go to France for several weeks, and go back to the U.S. and spend more time in Chicago and Michigan. So we'll be on the road. My wife and my daughter and I will be on the road for about 7 weeks.
Right.
So there's a lot of preparation going on right now, and a bunch of suitcases and clothes all over the floor, and it's the beginning of the adventure. Yeah, it's exciting. I love going back home, obviously, going back to France and see my family, and it's even better now that
What part of France are they in?
I'm from the east of France. To give you a very general idea, close to the German border.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm from the country. And when I say country, I mean country. If you look on the map where I'm from, it's just like a little dot, which is the town, and just green all around, which are the fields and the forest. That's all there is.
What did you guys do? Like, were you in agriculture?
Well, the agriculture is a big part of the industry, of the economy there.
Right.
My mom is a secretary, for example, and my dad used to own a how do you call this, a store, I guess. He used to make furniture, basically. He used to make the furniture and sell it in his own store. So it's kind of like we would call this an artisan.
Artisan.
Yeah. He makes his own stuff and he sells it. But like everybody else, he got hit by the economy and everything a long time ago, and now he just, I don't know not really sure what he does. He doesn't do anything related to furniture anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's close to his retirement right now.
Oh, okay.
He's kicking it.
Yeah. Especially if you live in the country, it'll be nice. Now, so you're going to France, going to Chicago first, then to France. So that means you'll be, are you still going to be able to record?
I might be able to. I'm supposed to go to the Apple store today and look for a portable microphone, because the one I use right now is kind of heavy and big, and we don't have much space or weight allotment for this. So I'll go to the Apple store and look if I can find a portable good microphone, and if I can, I will keep recording every week with you. And if not, that might be the right occasion to have Cody on the show, because I know he's been eager to get on it too. And we kind of put the lockdown on it without really wanting to, but we're kind of owning the thing. So that'd be good to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe it'll take maybe a week or off.
Yeah.
Or so.
Yes. So we'll definitely discuss this, and no matter what, the show will go on. The show must go on.
I know you talked to Pod2G last week. What was that conversation like?
Well, we talk every once in a while, and it's
And he's from France too.
Yeah, he's from France. He's French, and I met him at Jailbreak Con, and he was the only French-speaking person there, and I think he was a little anxious because it's a lot of work when you are out of your country to speak a language you're not very fluent. When he's fluent in English, but he's not very comfortable with it.
Right.
So I think it was good for him last year that I was there to be able to speak with him in French, and that was kind of a nice little break for him. I understand. So anyway, we befriended last year, and we've kept in touch ever since. And so I texted him last week after we recorded the podcast, and I wanted to talk to him about what he had said about switching to Android, really. So we talked a little bit, and he said the same thing that he had said, it's a terrible beta, it's buggy, and it's ugly, and all that stuff. And I was like, well, first, the slowness of the beta version. I don't experience that at all. I told him, I was like, I installed it on my iPhone 4S first, and the iOS is a little sluggish, but on my iPhone 5, iOS beta 7 beta is just working great. And he said that he has it running on an iPhone 4 or iPhone 4S, I believe. So that explains a little bit why he's got,
especially if it's a 4.
Yeah, I can't remember if he said 4 or 4S, though I believe he's got his main driver, his daily driver is a 4S, I think. So I don't know exactly, but like the bottom line is he didn't have it running on the latest device, which obviously is kind of a drawback. But then I talked to him. I was like, "Don't you think you've been like a little too harsh on it? Because he's a very famous people. A very famous person. Anything he says, people are gonna listen to him. Whatever he says, people are gonna listen to him and take this for granted, pretty much." So I was like, I kind of tried to make him understand he's got a responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. It's like being a movie star or like Justin Bieber or whoever. When you have like a huge following, you kind of have to be careful what you say, because people are going to like take a magnifying glass and analyze everything you say. Yep. Like we did, from a single tweet, we did a full post on IDB about it. That's what we do, and that's what a lot of people do. And after a while, after talking to him about my experience with iOS 7 on my iPhone 5, he came to realize that maybe he had a little overreacted, and that maybe he shouldn't have said that without giving it more thought, or at least without giving it more of a try, especially on a different device.
Right.
So he didn't entirely change his mind, but he toned it down a little bit. And I wish I had this conversation with him before he tweeted this thing that he did. And like we said last week, it was more of a knee-jerk reaction than anything else.
Right, and I think most people have kind of forgotten. I mean, I haven't really heard it mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not a huge deal in the end, you know what I'm saying?
One thing that really irks me, I guess you could say, is that when I see comments on the blog, like, they're like, why did you make a full post out of someone's tweet? It's public. I mean, that's the reason why. It goes on the record. Like, a tweet is valid. Like, if someone tweets something, that's a valid story.
And that goes back to what I said. When these persons are popular or have a huge following, like Pod2G, it's important for us to report on it. Of course, if it's my neighbor tweeting something about iOS 7, I'm not gonna write a post about it, because who cares what my neighbor thinks, But when it's someone like Pod2G or one of these guys, it's very important, because these guys are top material in the community.
Right. And it's never understood why people make such a big deal out of when we create tons of blogs do this anyway. It's not just IDB.
Yeah, right. And it's, any kind of news, not even blogs, but even like newspapers, I mean, I'm sure you go to New York Times right now, and I'm sure you can find like 20 articles that are written around a quote from one person. It might not be a tweet, but it might be like a quote from Vice President of South Africa saying something about the economy, and they make a whole post out of it.
Exactly, a whole story.
It's the exact same thing. It's not like the medium. It doesn't matter if it's a tweet or whatever. It's what's being said. That's what matters the most, and that's what we do. We report on news and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I might even see Pod2G when I go to France. We're trying to make arrangements to meet when I'm gonna be there. So that'd be really cool if I got to see him. I could show him iOS 7 beta 2 on an iPhone 5. I think he would like it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
So we talked about Pod2G. We know, obviously, there were quite a few tweaks that we talked about since the last episode.
Yeah.
And we picked out a handful of them that we want to talk about now. Very interesting tweaks to talk about. First of all was NCEnough. NC stands for Notification Center.
Mm-hmm.
Enough.
And what it does, I believe it resizes the notification center based on content. So the more content you have, when you pull down notification center, the longer it's going to be. If you have just one text message, which is about 3 lines in notification center, you're going to be able to pull down all the way up to these 3 lines, and the rest of your screen is going to be empty, right?
Exactly. So what this does is it eliminates the problem of, all right, I have one text message to come in. I had to pull down Notification Center all the way just to view that one text. Now I just pull it down the length of the text message. So it resizes, like you said, Notification Center. So it only contains the content that's actually there. You don't have to pull it all the way down. It's a pretty interesting tweak. It's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly fond of the look, but the idea is solid.
There's something missing with the look here, but I really, really enjoy the idea of it. Something I heard, though, is that it's not compatible with Tap to widgets, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, well, I know that makes it automatically a no-go in your court.
Well, yeah, it does. But it seems like it could be just a quick fix away, quick update away. So that's not, that's not a deal breaker by any means. But that's something that I believe a bunch of other people would like to see in NCEnough support for Tap to widgets.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the tweet. When I pull down Notification Center, I rarely pull it down all the way down. I keep my finger on it. I pull down and I just need to see whatever I want to see, and I pull it back up.
Right. I think I do so too, actually. Yeah, I think I do that kind of myself.
And I use... what tweet does this? I believe it's Zephyr that does this when...
Oh, yeah, I know what you're going to say. I hate that.
You don't like it?
I hate that.
You can turn it off, I think.
I know, I always do. Like, that's the first thing whenever I install Zephyr. And you're talking about the thing that makes Notification Center, makes the actual screen slide down.
Exactly.
To reveal Notification Center.
Right.
Yeah, that is so annoying to me. Yeah, that's a feature in Zephyr that you can enable. What is that feature called? I think it's just called Notification Center, actually. Yeah, Notification Center iPhone. You can enable that or disable that, and that makes the actual screen that you're currently displaying, the actual screen itself, slide down to reveal Notification Center. Instead of Notification Center sliding on top of your content, the content slides down. It's an interesting look, but I don't know, kind of throws me off.
I don't know. I've been used to using this since I've used Zephyr, so it's kind of a normal thing now for me.
Right.
Yeah.
The Quick Brown Fox. Oh, by the way, NCEnough, how much
is it free?
I think so. No, it's 99 cents. Sorry. 99 cents on Cydia's Big Boss Repo. I think it's worth it.
I think it's worth it too, especially if they're going to add support for more NC settings, NC Notification Center tweaks in the future, which wouldn't be, too far out of reach.
There's a lot of other options included. You could make the Notification Center skinny like on the iPad.
Yeah, I kind of like that in a weird kind of way.
I hate that.
Yeah, I know you do, but I kind of like it. It's different.
Yeah.
It's a cute little notification center.
I think he calls it supermodel skinny. Thin like a noodle and supermodel. So funny. Yeah, but the Quick Brown Fox, that's a new tweak as well. And that's an interesting name. You know where that name comes from, right?
The Quick Brown Fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Yeah. That's I guess that includes all the characters on the alphabet.
Yeah, you've got the 26 letters of the alphabet in there. So I think people who do things with fonts, or I don't know exactly what, but they use this to see what the font would look like in every letter in the alphabet.
Right. Yeah.
Using words, not just letters, So that's where it came from. But when I first, when I first said it, I was like, what? The Quick
I
Brown
kind of
Fox?
ignored it at
What?
first. It's just like weird.
It's actually a pretty clever name, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a tweak that does three things actually. It has three settings. One called Auto Twins, and this inserts automatically the closing pair of like parentheses or brackets. So you put in the left hand or
Mm-hmm.
left parentheses, the open parentheses, and it automatically puts in the closing parentheses. Um, then you have Auto Space, which will insert a space automatically with selected symbol keys. So, say I always want to put a space after the pound sign or the hashtag, it will do that. And then there's jumping keys, which is really interesting. You know, when you hit the apostrophe
Yep.
on your keyboard, on the iOS keyboard, it automatically switches back to the letters
Right.
by itself. But other keys don't do that. For instance, if you use, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something, any of the symbols, like an exclamation point, it still stays on the symbols. But this allows you to force it over back to the the alpha keyboard.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
That's a very good idea.
and it's free.
Yeah. So I really like this tweak. When I first watched your video, I was like, this tweak would be perfect with swipe selection. Or maybe make some tweaks to the tweak itself. For example, auto twins. When you have this on, if you open a parenthesis, it's going to close it automatically.
Yeah, it needs to be like text expander.
Yes, it needs to put the cursor between the two parentheses so that you don't have to,
kind of
go
defeats the point,
exactly, it makes it harder. Unless you have swipe selection. If you have swipe selection, then you can just swipe,
Right.
one character back and you're in. But no matter what, it should be able to put the cursor back in between the two characters. I think that would be a huge improvement over the auto twins feature of the tweak.
Right, I agree.
Yeah. And auto space and jumping keys, I mean, these two are like great little features. I never really thought about that, to be honest. I never said to myself, I wish there was something like this, but now that it's here, it kind of makes sense all of a sudden. It's like, oh, it's a very good idea.
I never even noticed that the apostrophe key. I mean, I know it did it, but it's just kind of like unconsciously in my subconscious. Kind of weird. But yeah, this is a free tweak on Cydia's Big Boss repo, the Quick Brown Fox. Don't sleep on it. It's a good tweak.
What's next on the list?
What is next? We have Vox. I know you are really adamant about covering this one. You must like this.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to see it compared to what's it called? Live battery indicator, I think it's called.
I think that was what it was called.
And which was like, I used live battery indicator pretty much ever since it was released. That was 2 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, but something drove me insane.
I already know it didn't position itself.
Yeah, the positioning, like it would just like go left and right depending on the location icon in your status bar. And that just drove me insane. And I kept sticking to it because I was like, this is a quick fix. This guy is going to fix it. He's going to update the tweak and make it stick to all the way to the far right of the status bar. And he didn't. So when I saw Vox, I was like, well, it might be a fair replacement. And so I installed it on my iPhone 5, my daily driver. And I really, really like it. I like how minimalist it is. So basically what you have, instead of having any kind of numeric indicator or anything, you just have a circle. And the circle is full. And as your battery dies out, the circle, gets smaller and smaller. Then once you hit 20% or less, the tiny little circle becomes red, and this is what I don't like anymore at this point in this tweak. The red symbol in the status bar just doesn't match anything else in my status bar, so it looks a little awkward to have this red thing up there.
Keep it charged.
Oh yeah, I must keep it charged, I guess. But besides this, I really like the tweak. And I like it so much. I was thinking, on iOS 7, the carrier how do you call this? The carrier bars, like the signal bars. It's like 5 little circles now, and it takes a lot of space and everything. And I was thinking a tweak like Vox could be applied to the carrier, the signal bars as well. You replicate the same thing on the other side, and a small circle for no coverage and a big circle for more coverage, and that's it.
Right. Yeah, it's a good looking tweak. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. It looks good. Like right now, I'm looking at it, and I have 70% of battery or something.
Yeah,
So
and then if you swipe down a notification center,
yeah,
what happens?
yeah. If you, for example, for people who really want to know how much battery do I have left exactly, you can swipe down notification center, and in the top right, you're gonna see how much battery you have left. For example, I see I have 72% left. So it's basically a circle with the number 72 in there.
Right.
And then like you put notification center back where it belongs, and boom, it's gone, and you just have your white little circle, and it's very nice. It fits very well on my iPhone, I'll say.
Yeah, I really like this because of that feature alone. I always hate having the percentage on my device. It just makes the status bar look more cluttered.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like I hate not knowing my exact percentage. So
Right.
this is a great compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vox.
the only bummer really is like the red icon. Like I don't know. This just turns me off a little bit.
Be nice if there is an option to change it if you wanted to, maybe
What?
in the future.
Oh, there. Oh, okay. I thought you said there is an option. I was like,
No.
what?
No, there's not yet, but hopefully it will be updated in the very
Yeah.
near future. It's Vox. It's available right now on Cydia's Big Boss repo for free. Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Free tweak. So next up we have Double Tap. This is from our friend Alan Yip. It's a free tweak. This is really actually a pretty good idea for him. He uses his free tweak to promote. Like if you go to the tweak on Cydia, look up Double Tap, you'll see like promotion on the settings, in the settings for Double Tap, and on Cydia for his other tweaks, which are paid. And so it's a nice little cross promotion, I guess you could say, cross marketing. But Double Tap allows you to toggle brightness and volume and a rotation lock using double tap gestures. And you actually have to use 3 fingers to double tap to execute certain actions. So if you want to, for instance, enable or disable your orientation lock, you just double tap on the screen with 3 fingers. And these can be enabled or disabled in the settings. If you want, for instance, to adjust the volume using this tweak, you double tap with 3 fingers and you hold after the second tap. You continue holding on the screen with your 3 fingers and sliding up or down to adjust the volume or the brightness.
Pretty clever.
Yeah, it's not the most robust tweak, but it works. Not something
Sometimes the most simple tweaks are the best tweaks.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, what's the shelf life of a tweak like this, considering that in iOS 7 you can just swipe up through Reveal Control Center and adjust your brightness from there, for example.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think this is competing with Control Center. I just think this is for people who want to use tap gestures instead of because there already is. Obviously there's stuff like NC settings or SP settings that already exist that allow you to do that, but he still created this, so he must feel pretty confident that this is going to do well regardless.
And no matter what, we don't have well, forget this. I was going to say something stupid. Just forget it. Just edit this stupid out.
It's not hard for me to do. Not hard for me to say stupid stuff. Okay, so Double Tap is a free jailbreak tweak. It's available right now on Cydia's Big Boss repos. Got this free trend going on here.
Yeah, that's good.
And last but not least, this was I guess this is my favorite one of this entire list. It is NativeQR. I have always thought, like, why hasn't Apple enabled QR reading within their camera app? Like, why is that not just a stock feature? Well, this new tweak, NativeQR, makes it pretty much stock. It allows you to use your stock camera app to read QR codes directly.
Now the question is, how often do you read QR codes?
Well, I would a lot more if I didn't have to use a third-party app. Like if this was built into
Mm-hmm.
iOS, I think QR code, you would see it be much more pervasive. It would, I think more people would. I already see there's a lot of people using QR codes now, and I think the trend's going up. It's continuing to rise. But if iOS had this built in, I think you would see much more support behind QR codes in general.
Yeah, you're
Like
probably right.
I would never just like I don't have a QR reading app on my phone, so whenever I encounter a QR code, it's like, well, I don't have the capability. But now, if it was built in iOS, and it would be, I'd be more willing to scan it.
Yeah, and I could tell in the comments of this post that the main grip was, why would you pay $1.99 for this tweak when you can get it for free in the App Store? But what people miss here is that this is integrated into the native camera app. I mean, that's the main feature. That's why you pay $2 for this tweak, because it's integrated into the camera app. You don't have to have another icon on your home screen. You don't have to download an extra application for this, So this works directly from the camera app. You launch it from the lock screen, and boom, you're in there.
And it's just completely painless. Like as soon as you brush over a QR code with your camera, it picks it up almost like instantly. So it's just really snappy, really fast, and just like you don't even have to think about it.
Now, wasn't there another QR code reader released on Cydia at the same time?
Yes, there was.
What was it called? Is it
Hmm.
like Easy QR or something?
It was called, I believe it was called Decode Camera, I think. Does that sound right?
I can't remember.
Decode Camera. I think it was called that. Yeah, and it was very, very similar. Kind of coincidental, I guess. I don't know if sometimes people are saying that they're working on something, and then another developer tries to beat them to the punch. And I think this is almost like the case. I don't know who was first, for instance. I think Decode Camera is a little different because it supports something called data matrix, which is, I guess, another type of code, QR code.
Okay, I never heard of it.
Me neither.
But I see on the app description in Cydia that there's a lot of Chinese characters in there too.
Yeah.
So maybe data matrix is something that is more popular in China, maybe?
Perhaps.
I don't know, maybe
I could look it up.
Maybe our listeners are gonna, point out how stupid we are not knowing data matrix is. Maybe it's something like everybody knows about, but we don't. I don't know.
And one thing about this one, though, it's cheaper. It's 50 cents cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And it also allows you to have like a little beep when you successfully scan a code, which is nice. Makes you feel like you're in a grocery line or something.
Right.
And I think it supports the front and back camera as well. I need to review this. I actually purchased it, and I just haven't got to it yet. But I felt that one QR reader was enough for the week.
Yeah, right.
Maybe next week.
Okay.
But this one is NativeQR. The other one is Decode Camera, I believe.
Right. Yeah, that's the name.
Yeah, NativeQR is $1.99 on Cydia's Big Pulse repo. I recommend it.
Okay. So I heard that you stole your wife's iPad mini to install iOS 7 Beta 2 on it.
Yes, I did. She wasn't too uncooperative.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have iOS 7 Beta 2 running on my wife's iPad mini. And it's nice. I like it. I think I like iOS 7 on the iPad maybe even more than it is on the iPhone. I mean, it feels like it was designed. Like the icons just look a lot better on the bigger screen. The spacing of them, I can't describe. It's hard for me to give a real reason why, but there's something about it, like with the spacing between the icons, just makes it look a lot better on the iPad. The icons just look better. I don't know. They're the same, obviously, but
yeah. Well, I'll confess, I haven't installed iOS 7 on any iPad yet. I just have it on my iPhone 5. Yeah, I've been a little reluctant to install. I mean, I'm definitely not going to install it on my iPad mini, that's for sure. But I guess I should install it on my iPad 3 or something just to give it a fair try.
Yeah, one thing I like about it, the little the background that moves around.
Yeah, the parallax.
That looks so much better on the iPad. Obviously, I mean, it's bigger. It's more, the effect is much more pronounced on the larger screen.
I still don't get it, this parallax effect. Like,
I don't either.
What is it supposed to do? I mean, I understand what it's supposed to do, but why?
I think they're trying to make, like, everyone's saying that iOS is flat now and things like that, but it's not really. I mean, I don't see it that way. I think this is, I don't know. It's like it's part of the design, I guess, concept. It's not exactly flat. You still have like a 3D feel, although the icons themselves are no longer shiny or glossy. It's just, I don't know. This is just one of those design choices.
Yeah,
I wonder whose idea it was.
You know that you can turn off parallax now in the settings in beta 2. If you go in if you go in the accessibility settings, you are able to turn it off.
Let me do that real quick. General accessibility.
Yep.
Oh, parallax. Control the parallax motion effect of icons and alerts. Huh. I'll keep it on. I like it.
It's one of the new goodies in iOS 7 beta 2. So overall, what do you think of beta 2? More stable, faster, snappier? Yeah.
It's a lot more stable. And on the iPad, one thing that a lot of people will be happy to hear is that Notification Center takes up the entire screen now, which is super nice. I mean, it just looks better. It looks more put together. On iOS 6, of course, Notification Center only took up, just a portion of the screen, but now it takes up the whole screen. Control Center looks better.
Mm-hmm.
It takes up the width of about 1/4 of the screen at the bottom. I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know. I like it.
So have you changed Siri's voice on your device? Like now you've got a new female voice. Well, I don't know if it's a new female voice, but it's more articulate anyway. And there's also the new male voice. I call him Sirio. Yeah. Have you changed it to? Have you tried the male? I know you tried it for the video that you did yesterday. But what do you use?
I don't like it.
You don't like it? Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't. No, dude. No. Hello, where would you like to go? No, man, I don't like that. It's just, I like the female's like, you have your nice, it's just pleasant. Like a female voice is just more pleasant than a guy's voice to me.
I have to agree with that in general, but I put the male voice on my iPhone just because I wanted to change it up a little bit. So yesterday I was playing with it. Well, not playing, but I was using Siri to look up something or something, and my wife heard a new voice. She was like, "Ooh, a new male voice. What's his name?" It's nice to change it up a little bit, and especially
it'll be interesting to see, like, will all the female users of iOS switch to the male Siri? I wonder how, like, what the percentage of female users use the male Siri voice and vice versa.
Yeah, I guess that's a poll we could do in the future. But I mean, you can definitely tell no matter if it's the male or female voice, it's so much more articulate. It lost this robotic feel.
Still has Siri, a little bit of that.
Still has a little bit of it compared, especially to Google Voice, for example. Google.
No comparison.
Yeah, I mean, Google just nailed it with this. It's just perfect. I mean, not perfect. Nothing is perfect, but it's very well done, and it's extremely articulate. You don't feel like you're listening to a computer talking to you. Siri still has some ways to go, but it's a clear improvement over the old Siri that we've all come to love and hate.
But you still have your famous.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they need to figure out how to change your sound, do something different with this.
That's very annoying.
The Siri interface is a little nicer now, with little voice waves. as you're talking and stuff, and it's kind of I kind of like it. She still doesn't get any of what I'm saying, but yeah.
Yeah,
Go,
she barely gets anything I say either, so I
yeah,
feel bad.
and again, Google in comparison like understands most of what I say. Um,
Yeah.
so it's just technical issues at this point.
Yeah, but Apple's definitely making progress. Beta 2 is a lot more stable. And I also mentioned that OS 10 Mavericks, the new beta on it, is much more stable.
Yeah.
Much more stable. I mean, it is night and day for me, at least. Before, it was very difficult to do any kind of editing or anything because it was so choppy and slow, but now it's butter smooth. So they really ironed out the bugs on the latest developer preview for Mavericks.
Do you think OS X at some point will start looking more like iOS?
Yes.
Because up until iOS 7, to me, there was no doubt that the two would kind of come to merge at some point, and maybe not in the very near future, but in the future, I think there will be just one big OS. I don't know. But to me, it may, if you grab an iPhone and if you were on your Mac, if you go in the calendar app, like you're not shocked. It's kind of the same, all around layout and design and textures. But now it's so entirely different. If I go to the calendars app even on Mavericks and I go to the calendars app on iOS 7, it's very much different. It's nothing like it. And the goal is to keep something cohesive, to have your desktop kind of look like your mobile OS. And I'm thinking, are they gonna make OS X look like iOS?
I think it's
like remove
inevitable.
all the clutter
Yeah.
and have like a bunch of white space in there and some very thin fonts, and
it's inevitable. I mean, it's going to happen. iOS makes the new, even the new OS 10 Mavericks look super outdated. I mean, just like your dock and stuff looks very outdated. I think it's only a matter of time before Apple. I just don't think they have the resources to really implement, iterate these changes now. In the next version of OS 10, whatever it's going to be called, In-N-Out, I don't know, In-N-Out Burger, it will be. I think we will see a lot of the design language transition over to the desktop.
That would absolutely make sense. I mean, that makes sense. You try to keep them cohesive, look the same.
Yeah. And I think it would do a good deed to OS 10. I mean, it would make it so much more modern looking.
Yeah.
It's even though they've got rid of a lot of this skeuomorphism, it's still not quite there yet. Especially with the dock. Like I'm looking at the dock now, it looks so outdated. All the icons, like that eagle on the mail app, that's so ugly. Don't you think it's ugly? Like
yeah,
looks like a postage stamp.
I don't use the mail app. I use what's it called?
Sparrow.
Yeah, Sparrow. So, but yes, I agree with you. But if they take all these real life elements out, and I guess what I'm trying to say here, what I'm trying to put into words is that a lot of people, and I mean, kind of historically, Apple has been famous for, bringing real life elements to the computer, and, it makes it more comfortable or more, I guess more comfortable, and it removes barrier to using your computer because your computer kind of looks like what you use in daily life, like your calendar looks like, paper calendar.
When's the last time you used a stamp, Sebastien?
Well, yeah, okay, for the stamp thing, all right. But for in general, like if everything is gonna be just some big white spaces and some gray and some very light, thin looking fonts, like your computer is gonna look like a computer. It's gonna look like it's not gonna look like real life elements. And I think maybe I'm not ready for iOS 7 yet, but I think I'm gonna be missing these real life elements from both my iPhone and my desktop in the future when that inevitable transition is gonna happen. I don't know.
I think if you
Do
try it
you
on your
understand? Do you
iPad,
understand what I'm trying to say here?
I
That
do. Yeah, I
yeah,
do understand that. I totally understand. And I think the argument's even more valid for ones that are older than us, like
yeah.
the older crowd, I guess you could
Hmm.
say. Those who are new to the to the Mac or to iOS, it's going to be a little more ambiguous. It's going to be a little more difficult for them to realize like what does what. It's not going to be inherently clear to
Yeah.
them right off the bat. But I think if you try iOS 7 on the iPad, I just think you'll see it. It just finally it clicked for me when I tried it on the iPad. Like it just something just clicked. Yeah, this is right. This is the
Okay.
right direction.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely need to give it a try on the iPad. I don't even know why I haven't done that on my iPad 3 yet, but I guess I should. Maybe it will make me feel safer about the future. So this being said, I love iOS 7. Don't get me wrong, I really like it. I think it's beautiful, except the icons, kind of, you know. But everything else is I love it, you know. Like the settings app is beautiful, the messages is really nice.
I love how
and
you can access Spotlight search from anywhere. That's so
yeah,
nice. Even though I don't use Spotlight, but just the fact that it's there is nice.
yeah. So I really like it. It's just I don't know if I'm ready for the full transition, especially to the desktop. But you know, people like my daughter, she's gonna be growing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's strange. Anyway,
Future's bright.
the future's bright.
As far as Apple's concerned, that is. Yeah. So I think I don't know, just put it on your iPad, report back next week. If you're here next week. If not, then I'm sure Cody will be
Yeah,
willing
I'll
to
try.
fill
I'll
in.
try to make it next week. Next week is gonna be my last week in the US for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So I'll try to be there.
Yeah.
And or else Cody will be here.
So
to
are you going
report.
into the city at all?
In Chicago?
In France.
Oh, in France? Probably not. I might spend maybe 24 hours in Paris, and that's it.
You're not fond of Paris, are you?
I love Paris.
Oh, okay.
I love Paris, but I don't have much time. I mean, I have my cousin who's like my brother, really. He lives in Paris, and he's got his brother, and his parents live there too. And so my uncle and my aunt are like my second parents. They took care a lot. You know, they took me on vacation with them when I was a kid because my parents didn't have much money, so we couldn't always go on vacation and all that stuff. So they would take me with them. And then I lived with them for like 6 months when I was doing internships in Paris and stuff. So I mean, they're like my second parents, and I love them, you know, and they love me. But you know, especially now that I have a baby, I want to spend more time. I want my baby to spend more time with my parents, really.
Yeah.
You know, because my parents don't see her much. You know, they see her on FaceTime, but they see her 3 weeks in the summer and 10 days to 2 weeks when they come visit us around Christmas time. So it's very hard for them. And, you know, I'm an only child, so my daughter Chloe is the only grandchild so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's very hard for them to be so far away. So I try to spend as much time with them as possible. And, you know, I try not to, you know, go around the country as much as I would like to.
Right. Yeah.
But
I guess that kind of changes things a little bit.
yeah.
You
But
know.
eventually, like my wife and I, Tina and I, are talking about moving to France at some point in the future, for, you know, not forever, but for a year or two, live in France, close to my parents and my grandparents, hopefully, if they're still here, and yeah, have my kids, you know, learn the language and play around and without pollution or anything like that, because where I'm from, there's no such thing.
Right.
So I would like that very much, and then Tina and I would have time to travel and go to Paris and go to Italy and go to Spain and stuff like that.
Sounds sweet.
That's the 5-year plan here.
Awesome. Keep us updated.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that wraps it up for this week's episode of Let's Talk Jailbreak. Again, this was episode 16. We had a lot to talk about. Pod 2G, awesome jailbreak tweaks, iOS 7 beta 2. So we look forward to getting with you next week where we have a whole new show for you guys. Got any parting shots?
Thank you very much for listening. I think yesterday I looked at the numbers, which I do about once or twice a week, and yesterday was our biggest download day. Our biggest day in terms of downloads of the podcast. We got close to, we got 20,000 downloads in a single day yesterday. That was the biggest day ever. Yeah, I think the previous record was 17 or 16,000 downloads in a day. So that was pretty good. So that makes last week's episode one of the most popular episode, ever. So that's good. So, I want to thank everyone for listening and keep downloading every week. And that's really nice. And it's really good that we can still do this even without the support of Apple and, without being on iTunes. So we don't do this for nothing. We've got 60,000 people listening to us every week. And that makes it worth it, definitely.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, thank you everyone for listening. And we'll talk again next week.
See ya.
Bye.